Good morning everyone, welcome to a new video. If you're new to the channel, hello, I'm Emma, I'm an illustrator in Sheffield. It's a bit of a different day from yesterday, look at that weather. Yesterday was a lovely, well, I was going to say a lovely sunny day. It was a lot sunnier than it has been here in Sheffield recently, and I was going to get out but ended up tidying my studio all day. Also yesterday, because I was cleaning my studio and getting it all spick and span and getting my Patreon rewards ready, I didn't actually get around to doing any creative or kind of putting pencil to paper work. So today is a different day. I've got an accountability session booked in with my sister and her Patreon on Zoom at 12 o'clock. So I've got a quarter of an hour, and during that time I'm going to throw some ideas around for a book idea that I've had in my head for a little while, and just in a pressure-free zone I'm going to throw some ideas around about what that might look like, maybe. Because I've got the idea for the story, but I don't yet know what the illustrations are going to be. So I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to play around and see. Oh, hope my hair dries soon. I end up catching a cold. Right, so I'm going to log into this, set my table up, and then let's see where the day takes us. Okay, so I'm still in my accountability session with my sister. I've decided that I don't really have the bandwidth for making, like, I don't know. For making the kids' book ideas, I don't really have the bandwidth for getting involved in that. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to compile my list of things for my 100 rejections list. I mentioned it in one of the other videos. I'm doing what Katie Chappell, one of the people from the Woodthorpe illustration, suggested. She's done that, and I want to do that as well. So basically the idea is you turn the fear of rejection into a challenge. So you have an aim to get 100 rejections or like 50 rejections in however long. So I'm going to do it for the year. I'm going to aim for 100 rejections, and I'm going to apply for a bunch of stuff. That's not my sole aim. I'm not going to go in and do bad work, but I'm going to apply for a bunch of stuff that maybe I wouldn't have applied for before. And then if I get rejected, which the chances are you will, because there's only a limited number of spaces and loads of creative people out there. And if I get accepted, brilliant, I've got some work. If I'm not accepted, brilliant, I'll tick it off my list, and at least I get used to applying for things. So that's kind of what I'm going to do now. So this is what I got involved in before. I realised that my creative brain isn't switched on at the moment, which is fine. You have times like that, and that's fine. I'm not taking it personally. But what I did, I started this messing around with some ideas in my sketchbook that I used to do some finished pieces and some not finished pieces from Folktale Week. But I decided, because there was a mixture of finished pieces and like messing around in there, I'd cut all of the finished pieces out, put those in my portfolio, and now I'm just left with a bunch of sheets which I can definitely use for messing around. I'm going to use one of these to write my list of things I want to apply for, and I've got them all. I've got a few things in my email actually that I've been given and sent. So I'm going to write what it is, the deadline, and then I'm going to make one of these into I'm going to make like 100 circles and have that as my 100 rejections tick list. So when I do get rejected, if I get rejected, I can tick them off. tried to organise it, well, I was going to do 25 dots and 5 lines, but the dots were going to be too small, so I started trying to be uniform and then just ended up doing it random. Doesn't matter at all. So this is what I've done. I'm going to stick that on my wall when I get rejected. In fact, I've got some rejections to add to that, and then I will try and fill it. Okay, so some of the things that I've got on my list that I've found so far are the Jackson's Art Prize. You might be interested in these as well, so go and check them out. The Jackson's Art Prize, I think the closing date for that is March, but I've got one free entry with that, which expires on the 15th of February. So the 15th of Feb is my deadline. And the other one is the World Illustration Awards, which has a deadline of the 13th of February. You'll be able to Google these. They'll be on the internet. If I can find a link to them, I'll link them in the video description as well. But definitely go and check those out. In the World Illustration Awards, there's a lot of categories like kids' books, magazines, stuff, like science and things, I think, as well, are in them as well. So depending on what kind of illustration you do, you might find one or two categories, or all of them maybe, that you want to enter. I think there is a cost involved to those, but you know, if you're ready to start entering competitions and things, there might be something that is interesting to you. But that's what I've got so far. I couldn't spend too long on it because I had to do my tax return, which takes it out of me. So I've finally done my tax return for last year, 22-23, and which reminded me I need to also keep at my business records because I'm so far behind keeping those up for 23-24 year. Anyway, so I've got my my desktop picture on. So this is what I was doing yesterday for my patrons. You could get one of those as well if you sign up to my Patreon on any tier, and they're starting at £1. You can follow me for free on Patreon, but the free followers don't get the monthly rewards. You just get all the free content that I put up there. But I do put up free content, so I mean, it might be worth going and following for free. But if you like the look of the calendars, I do a desktop one, I do a printable version, and this month I've done a phone background and a tablet background as well. If that looks like your kind of thing, head along to patreon.com/Emma Woodthorpe and check it out. No obligation at all. But I am pooped, and the clean studio I had yesterday has got increasingly messy, and I have lost my motivation. That's how it goes sometimes. I've just had no creative desire today. I sat down to throw some ideas around, and I just wanted to write lists instead. And that's fine. It's been such a rainy day today. Usually if it was a nice fine day and I could just easily put on a coat and go outside without worrying about getting rain on all of my glasses and all that kind of stuff, I probably would have popped to a cafe today to do some sketching to try and get me out of that funk. But that was not going to happen today. No way am I going to head out in that torrential rain. So unfortunately, it's just been one of those days where I've not had a lot of creativity in me. But to be honest, I think I needed a day where I sat down and wrote lists, because now I've got that 100 rejections checklist started. I've got my list of things that I need to apply for started, because before, all of these things were floating around in my head. Some of them were in emails, some of them were in my head that I'd seen, some of them were on social media. So I'm collating all of those together, so it feels like there's less floating around in my brain now. And I've got my tax return done, which is amazing. That is a weight off my mind as it is. So anyway, tomorrow I'm assuming I'm going to feel much better, because I'm not going to have that nagging thought in the back of my mind oh my God, you got to do your tax return, do it. It was kind of getting me down, guys. So yeah, I've done stuff today, and I'm sorry if it's not been all pretty stuff for you to see, but it's just the day that it was. And you know me, I don't want to misrepresent how my life as an illustrator goes. And it's a daily vlog. You're going to see some days that are more boring than others. And that's just the way of it. And I'm not going to lie to you, that's just the way of it. Not every day can be sunshine and rainbows and perfect illustrations every day. Sometimes you've got to write lists and do your tax return. And today was one of those days. It might be different if I was doing a non-daily vlog. If it was a weekly vlog like I used to do, I could maybe cut out the boring stuff, but sorry, you get warts and all. So I think this is where I'm going to leave this video today. I'll pop all of the links to the competitions that I've mentioned in the video description if I can find them. Also, I'll pop a link to my sister's Patreon, because that's what I was taking part in her accountability session, which is one of the rewards that she's got on her Patreon. So just in case you want to go and have a look at those, I'll link that down below in the video description as well. And anything else I've mentioned, I don't think I've mentioned much else apart from tax returns. So yeah, I'm going to leave this video here. And you know what I'm going to go and do now? I'm going to go and get my pajamas on. And I'm going to go and watch zombies on TV. So until the next video, see ya!